Greetings, Earthlings, and welcome back to the Galactic Visitor Center, where we continue our second part of our interview with Cale, review his video, and discuss synchronicity.
Cale, I'd like to watch one together. I can do that here, and then we can kind of like talk about that one specifically because you have so many. But I'm going to take the one that you pinned on Twitter. Is that okay?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so I'm gonna bring that up on the screen here. All right, can you all see the?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, great. All right, I'm gonna hit play. And what set the scene for us, Cale? What is this? It looks like a mountain range in the background.
Yeah, those are just the hills. Not really mountain range. I guess it's a small mountain. My house is. I can actually turn my camera around right now and kind of show you exactly where that was taken.
So like right out the backyard, basically.
Well, it's my front yard, actually. I don't know if you can see that. So that's very similar to where it was taken. We had lightning that was just absolutely incredible. That surrounded my house at like 270 degrees for several hours on all the hills. Yeah. Miraculously, we had very few, if any, fire start. So in that, I was able to videotape lightning with orbs flying all over the place. This was a particularly good one because obviously what you'll see is a massive lightning strike right behind it.
Yeah. Okay. So let me hit play with that. That's a great setup. So there's the lightning.
And then I just did a little
huge.
I did a little reverse on the actual video so you can see it better.
Yeah, look at that. That's stunning. So this phenomenon here, and I'm going to freeze it right there where you can kind of see the glow of the lightning building behind the cloud. This phenomenon is appearing like almost in. It's not. Is it in front of that cloud? It almost looks like it's almost like.
I'd say
right
it is. Yeah.
No,
what these orbs will do is they'll originate from a mountain over here. They'll fly and do a circle around over top of my town and then go right back to where they were. There's some nights where when we're having a party or people over where they'll do that so many times that I'll actually ask them to stop because it's really rude of me to be sitting there with my camera while people are socializing. And my wife will be like, it's just enjoy it. She just wants me to enjoy it. You don't have to videotape everything, which is true. But so yeah, I mean, it's incredible. It's giving me this opportunity to put the videos out there. I don't know how much effect it's having, but what it does is it's connected me with other people who are videotaping, pretty incredible stuff as well. And I can support them. We support each other because not everyone's going to believe, right? Like UFO Twitter provides a perfect interface for people who are experiencing things that other people like. We'll have people on my deck who will be saying that's a plane, and they won't. their mind won't be able to. They're not going to accept that, right? My son was like that for a while, and now he's finally come around. Not that like everyone has their own beliefs, I mean, we've also been inundated with stuff like owls and. Owls have been a big part of my life for a decade, and
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Do you know the connection? There's a connection between owls and abductions.
I've read the book. Yeah, there's definitely there's definitely some instances where people have owls have been projected into people's consciousness as what they call a screen memory.
Instead of the actual being.
Yeah, so maybe you've got a gray in your line of sight, but instead of seeing the gray, you see a strange tall owl.
Yep, some sort of massive barn owl or something.
Yeah,
like, what is that owl even doing? Like,
So that for whatever reason, when the abductions happened, they're trying to make people not remember them, but it doesn't make any sense. I'm not sure why so I'm not completely, who knows? Like, it's a mystery, right?
No,
It's a mystery.
that's very interesting. So, Marcellus, from your reaction, you've not heard that one yet before. That's
No.
news. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the owls are linked to the phenomenon. It's been in movies. It's been in personal accounts. When it first started coming out was when people would do regression hypnosis after they had believed that they may have been abducted.
Yeah, they've had some weird memories. Those people,
Yeah.
after they've been abducted, they have extreme anxiety and they don't know where it's coming from.
Right. Right.
I've read lots of books on about experiencers, and I don't even. It would be a horrific thing to go through in the past when it was so ostracized by the community. You couldn't talk to anyone about it because they're going to think you're crazy.
Of course. Yeah.
And so now there's such a community of people that you could get together with. But who was that Harvard professor Mack? He was
Professor Mack.
Yeah, he was
John Mack.
Yeah, John Mack. And so I've read books about him and his book, and he was pretty instrumental at establishing it that this is a real thing. And legitimate.
Well, his whole thing, and he went on Larry King, and he went on a bunch of different like major outlets to talk about it. And most recently in the Aerial Phenomena movie about the schoolyard sighting in Zimbabwe. But he was there saying, look, I'm not going to tell you aliens are real. I don't have enough information for that. What I can tell you as a psychologist is these people are experiencing something real.
That's right.
They're not acting. Like this is a real psychological impact.
Yes, they've experienced that 100%.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is about that aerial phenomenon, or that school. The school's name was the Aerial School.
Aerial School, yeah, just spelled like the mermaid and not like
that's too synchronistic.
Isn't that odd? Yeah, I wonder.
But I mean that there's lots of good movies coming out. I think Point of Contact is coming out.
Yes, looking forward to that.
Yeah. But
well, it speaks to what you were talking about, which is there's this like crescendo, this building momentum.
It really feels that way.
Ever since Elizondo came out kind of whistleblowing about it, it led to the New York Times article, the 60 Minutes, the Tic Tac videos, the gimbal videos. And one of the things that I think is so valuable is so many pilots are finally not afraid to lose their jobs to admit, I see this stuff frequently.
Yes.
Like military, they're obviously seeing it probably daily, and commercial pilots see it too all the time. They don't want to report it because it's a ton of paperwork and it could jeopardize their career, but they see it. It's up there.
Yeah.
There's things that don't make sense. They're moving too quickly, maneuver too bizarrely. But you mentioned in your experience, Cale, that you're not going to say that it is extraterrestrial, nor are you really even feeling like it is. You describe a kind of LCD sky. What do you mean by that? Is that like
to give you a crystal clear example? I told you about that first night when I came back from the conference and was camping with my folks there. So I videotaped the first one. It goes over the mountain. I come back to the fire, and by this night I'm just like, my heart is just, I'm so excited. Like, saw the UFO in Denver. Now I'm seeing it camping in my home city. So I'm looking up at the sky, and this is kind of that night we're seeing so many shooting stars that in the past I used to go camping with my kids, and we'd set up the chairs on meteor shower nights, and we used to play a game where we would go to bed if we didn't see a meteor in the next 60 seconds, and we count it down, and they come pretty consistently, and you get to see them. And so I'm pretty familiar with what a meteor looks like. There's usually some sort of burning tail. There's like, as it comes down, it has like almost like exhaust bits come off of it, even if it's a small one, so that night I'm seeing shooting stars that are like as crystal clear as you've ever seen in your life. Like, as I said, LCD screen, lights in the sky. I'm looking directly above me. A shooting star goes across the sky, stops right above me, stops, no light, moves over in my line of sight, maybe a foot, and then starts again. So it comes down, it stops, it goes blank, moves over a foot, and then continues down.
Oh, that's glitch in the matrix
Well,
stuff.
it's not, I mean, it's not an accident. It's done on purpose, right? I mean,
Yeah.
whatever is controlling that is showing me that there's something else, like this sky is something other than just meteors coming down, right?
So that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
So then what do you feel that it is some intelligence behind it? Like what or is it your own intelligence and consciousness reflected back to you? Like what do you if you had to guess, like what do you think it is?
Well, I mean, I've kind of been pretty vocal, and this is my Twitter cover page. I was listening to that UFO podcast here like a month ago, and they interviewed Rizan Burke, a guy who wrote the simulation hypothesis. And so as he was doing that interview with the UFO podcast people, the stuff he was saying was tweaking me with absolute synchronistic things that had happened in my life. So whatever he was saying, I was like, ha, this guy is saying everything that has been pointed out to me in my life. So then I go and read the book and or listen to the book. And it was absolutely that. So everything that I had been presented, even before I believed that UFOs were real in the previous part of my life, I had read the books that this guy based his book on, and everything in that book said to me, this was the truth. So on my set of goals on my wall about, I don't know, I put that up as I came out of my depression. One of the things I had on my goal, well, I'm just going to read it here. And it was, I want to learn everything about space, energy, and consciousness. That was what I wanted to manifest in my life. So
interesting.
In a short order, I believe that wish has kind of come true. I truly believe that we're living in some sort of simulation.
Sure.
And it's a beautiful simulation. It's an amazing simulation. But and I look at Marcellus, and he might be thinking, "What is this guy on?"
No, not at all.
Okay.
I'm a pretty much big proponent of that theory as well.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong. You got people like Elon Musk. You got extremely very smart people, smarter than us, who are saying this is, I don't know if you've seen that video of Elon Musk. He's being videoed, and they said, if you could ask when we get artificial general intelligence, which is supposed to happen at 2039 or something like that, when we get that ultimate intelligence that's smarter than all people combined on Earth, infinitely smarter, what question are you going to ask it? And Elon Musk sits back in his chair and he thinks about it. And his one question is, what's outside the simulation? Right? Very interesting. Like that's a guy who thinks of life like a chessboard, like a chess master. He treats life like I just think he's a very smart fellow, and he's obviously a master manifester. I don't have any doubt that he will be on Mars at some point. And so you got to take note when people like that say stuff like that. And the weird thing about the book, the Rizan book, the simulation hypothesis, on the cover, there's a picture of like an electronic being with his arms out like this. And for the past, I don't know how long, maybe 4 or 5 months, I've had this instinct to take pictures of myself doing that. And I've made other people do that. So there's all these series of pictures of me doing that. And then when I see the cover of the book, I'm like, okay, now I know why I've been doing that. That
Okay.
was, there's, I mean, it just is, it's just, to me, that was just one of the many kind of synchronistic presentations. And my background is such that I did take engineering for a while. And so I have a pretty good grasp, or as good a grasp as a layman can, as far as quantum physics and those sorts of things. And that book just lays it out in terms that most people could understand.
Which book is this? I'm sorry.
It's called The Simulation Hypothesis, and it is by a gentleman named Rizan Burke, I think. It's on my cover of my Twitter page. I'm all about it now, because until something comes into my path that makes me think differently, I'm going to stick with that, because it provides a good explanation of everything.
So these lights in the sky, the things that you're seeing, even triangle craft, are just a result of a simulation that's intent on intriguing you, or like what is the intent behind it?
Good. Yeah, that's a good question. I have a feeling. So this, if you've read or there's a book by Jonathan Cale that I'm listening to right now that gives a really good description of all the phenomenal things that have happened in the past, like in the 1800s, all those things. He's collected up all the newspaper articles from just an amazing job of summarizing all the things that have occurred. And what has occurred consistently is they've presented technology that's 10, 15 years ahead of the current human population. So in 1897, there was these aircrafts that landed in all the American cities. 4 humans came off the aircrafts. This was before the Wright brothers. This was before there were flying aircrafts. And there's records of all these things in the newspapers, and several like mayors, governors, all of them are on record giving written affidavits that they interacted with these people. And so this is essentially what we're seeing in today's modern age, where it's just that the presentation of technology is gotten more advanced because we're more advanced. So they have to put it a little bit further ahead, so that we can catch up to it. Right? It's guiding us in this path. That would be my thinking on that. Now, why all the alien and stuff? Because they have. I mean, it's one of two things. There's also kind of an evil element to what's happened with the aliens interacting with us. It's definitely not a good news story all the way. There's like it appears to be like there's something that is doesn't really care about humans. There's something that does care.
Well, that's the theory that's running around right now, especially on Twitter, is that and it goes back to the Lou Elizondo statements that everyone's dissected and tried to interpret 1,000 different ways. And one of them is that, he's saying that we aren't it on the planet Earth. And
if we knew the truth, it'd be sobering.
Yeah, like we aren't the apex species. We are unaware.
I believe
Just as
that.
a chimpanzee living his life, in the forest isn't aware of LA. Like LA is something closer, but and so we are unaware of the true dominant species of the planet, is basically what he's saying. And maybe that dominant species was extraterrestrial in its origin originally, but it's been here as long as we have, in fact longer than our species.
What's going on underneath Skinwalker Ranch? What is that?
That's super weird.
I mean, there's so I mean the simulation hypothesis fits a lot, but
why does the simulation so that's interesting that Elon's question of what's outside of the simulation. My question is, what's the point of the simulation? Are we here to learn something? Like, what are we here to do? Like, if we're here to have conspiracy after conspiracy of some like ancient race of aliens that is the true masters of Earth, and what's the point of that? I don't know.
Really, just to get the recipe to this guacamole that this alien had like billions of years ago. And they're like, I know I got it from that planet Earth, so we're just going to run the simulation a billion times until we get it.
Yeah. Well, that's what they
need to
say.
have avocados.
Something knows everything that goes inside our heads. If you look into the near-death experience phenomenon, and some of the experiencers have had the aliens shake their hands and have their entire life go through their brain instantly, like that's an absolute crazy rerun. The near-death experiencers, they all have that. There's this rerun of their life, and it all happens like outside of time. So the idea is that this this reality is kind of just a slowed down version. But when you get outside of this reality, everything happens right now. There is no time. How do I know? That's just what.
They said
No, that's the Akashic records. I think you're talking about, right?
They said scientists have looked more and more, and it looks like things point to that this is a projection of some sort. That our whole reality just looks like a projection on another, where a 3D projection, from a higher dimension,
and a projection of consciousness, right? That goes right back to, the photon experiment. When you observe it, is a particle, and when you don't, it's a wave. It exists in all probabilities when you're not looking at it, and then it actually takes a form when you do look at it.
Yeah,
right.
Jacques Vallée equates our reality to something that he calls it like a relational database. So it's not a database where you do a search. It's a database where it can go out and pull information in from every angle. And when you think about, if you ever gone through life where you've had some serious synchronicities, where this friend said something. I'll give you an example. I've got a friend whose loved one passed away just recently, and she happened to be holidaying in Europe. Dad passes away. She's not going to go home because she's walking through a market, and there's someone playing a song, and it just happens to be her dad's favorite song. Okay, so that's beautiful. Let's have a tear. They get on their cruise. They go to the next destination the very next day, and boom, it happens again. Another string quartet playing in the downtown core of some city they're walking around. Exact same song. This is a song she hasn't heard, in her life, like hardly at all. Then she gets on the phone with her brother, and her brother has something to play for her, and her brother's kid has learned the song on the piano and has played this song as well. So it's just like, okay, so it's coincidence. It's beautiful. It's hard to explain something like that, other than everything is like, in my own life, I had similar situations with owls. I believed that for the longest time, and I still kind of believe this, that my dad was coming to me in the form of owls, guiding my path. When things needed to be focused on, there was an owl, and it was really helpful to me. So when I said I was nuts and bolts before 420, I wasn't quite nuts and bolts. I did have that aspect of something other. I believe there was some spirituality based
sure.
Prior to that. But so the other synchronicities that I've experienced really point out that there's something controlling the reality that can make extreme coincidences happen, that involve multiple people, involve multiple things. You can go and open up a book in a store, and it goes right to the exact right page that you need.
Yeah, right.
Or the book just appears on your path, walking in the woods, that sort of thing. I got to turn my light on. It's getting dark in here. So
I've seen that. I've seen that in my own life, where it's just like it's too much to be a coincidence. I
consider it the video game. Yeah, it just means you're on the right path. That means you're the path you're on.
What is that though?
Because you're getting like reinforcing signs almost that tells you like,
exactly,
keep going this way.
I love it. If you find something that is close to your path, and you start getting those signs, then whatever is running this reality or running your avatar is saying to you, pay attention, right? Keep doing this. That's my perception of it.
My belief is simply that, fitting with the simulation hypothesis, the whole point of the simulation is to essentially achieve the best version of you. And that the whole heaven, hell, it's all been misconstrued as that, yeah, you'll be judged on your death, but the judge will be you. It'll be like the ultimate version of you going, oh, you look at all the opportunity you had and you didn't take it. Like, I was literally giving you the path, and you just wandered into the woods, So
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Finding the best. I mean, if you had something on your shoulder, you got the devil and the angel or whatever, and the angel gives you good advice and the devil's giving you bad advice. Synchronicities are like having that angel on your shoulder. It's like, okay, pay attention to this. And in my life, I've had something completely odd happen, and this is probably going to make you guys think I'm very strange, but I don't care.
Hey, don't hold back. I assure you, we've heard stranger.
Okay.
this is no judgment zone.
Yeah,
All right.
no, not at all.
Join us in our next episode where we finish our conversation with Cale, discover his affinity for a specific color, and talk about how manifestation ties back to the UAP phenomenon.